Welcome to my presentation on Timor-Leste. It is a small but remarkable country in Southeast Asia known for its rich history and landscapes. Timor-Leste has a story that stretches out from ancient kingdoms to modern independence. Before we proceed, we would like to pay our highest respects and greetings to our teacher and our classmates. We are Group 7 with the topic of Chapter 1, Unit 7, East Timor. My name is Grade8A and my other teammate is Hassan Junuran. We are from Class 8A, and before we waste any further time, let us all now dive in. Let us now start with history. We divide our history into 4 parts. First, the colonial era. Second, path to independence. Third, Indonesian occupation. Fourth, independence and modern era. Now let us also start with the colonial era. It is a time of struggle, conflict, and resistance. It all began in the 16th century when the Portuguese set foot on the island in 1515. By 1702, they established a permanent settlement in Lefa, that's in modern-day Ocas. The Portuguese were mainly interested in sandalwood, a valuable resource at the time, and they also sought to spread Christianity. Many Timors were converted to Catholicism as a result. But Portugal wasn't the only colonial power in Timor. The Netherlands also had colonial ambitions leading to tension between the two European powers. The Treaty of Lisbon in 1859 officially divided the island, and the western part became Dutch Timor, which is now part of Indonesia, while the eastern part remained under the Portuguese rule. The final borders were finally settled in 1916. Let's move on to path to independence. World War II started in 1942 to 1945 in Timor-Leste. During World War II, Japan occupied Timor, battling Australian and Dutch troops. The Timorese supported the Allies, but they suffered from harsh reprisals from the Japanese forces, resulting in the deaths of over 100,000 to 150,000 civilians, nearly 13% of the population at the time. However, it was unfortunate about how, after the Japanese lost the World War, the Indonesians came back and conquered Timor once again. Following the Coronation Revolution in Portugal, the new government moved to decolonize its territories, including East Timor. This triggered a power struggle among the Timorese political factions, and the most notable ones are being Fratellan, which is for pro-independence, and UDT, which is Timor's Democratic Union, basically initially pro-autonomy within Portuguese rule, but later allied with Fratellan, and Apotati, Timorese Popular Democratic Association, which was a favored integration with Indonesia. Next up, we had the Declaration of Independence in 1975. Despite internal conflicts, Fratellan declared independence on November 28, 1977. However, this was short-lived, because on December 1975, Indonesia invaded East Timor under the pretext of preventing communist influence. By 1976, East Timor was officially declared Indonesia's 27th province, although this was never recognized by the United Nations. Moving on was to the independence and modern era. On May 20, 2002, Timor-Leste officially became an independent country and the first new sovereign state of the 21st century. Next up, we have geographic location. So Timor-Leste is an island nation in Southeast Asia located on the eastern half of the island of Timor. The western half belongs to Indonesia, and interestingly, there is also Ocas, a small piece of Timor-Leste's land that is entirely surrounded by Indonesia. And if you look at the east, Timor-Leste's coastline faces the open sea, and just off the shore, there's Jaco Island. And if you go south, Timor-Leste is separated from Australia by the Timor Sea, and north, across the Banda Sea, it faces Indonesia. In terms of land area, Timor-Leste covers 15,007 square kilometers. That makes it larger than Singapore and Brunei, but it is smaller than Cambodia by 12 times. Geographically, Timor-Leste sits just to the south of the equator between 8 degrees to 10 degrees south latitude and 124 to 128 degrees east longitude. And let us now move on to its landscapes. East Timor has many mountains and sceneries, and the highest peak is Mount Tatamalu at a 2,963 meters, which surrounds Timor Sea, Banda Sea, and Sabu Sea. 8.2% of the land is for plowing and 0.45% for planting, and other lands at 8.723% is for other things. Unfortunately, this country often experiences earthquakes, tsunamis, and other sorts of natural disasters. And on top of that, I would like to include on how the country's waterways are. They're mostly short and they fall down from a great height, and they flow to the sea, and we can use that water on land for about 1,065 kilometers square as a source of fresh water. And now we have the weather. So, East Timor experiences two main seasons each year: dry season and wet season. Dry season lasts from April to September, and wet season spans from October to March. This country has a warm tropical climate with an average yearly temperature of around 26 degrees Celsius. Rainfall is also a key part of Timor-Leste's climate. The country receives up to 1,000 millimeters of rain annually, most of which falls during the wet season. Now next up, monsoons. So the dry monsoon occurs from April to September, and they bring dry winds from the southeast. These winds result in little to no rain, keeping the weather hot and dry. And on the other hand, the wet monsoon happens between October and March, carrying moist winds from the northwest. This is when most of the country's 1,000 milliliters of annual rainfall occurs, and they often happen in heavy downpours.
Next up, we have social condition, which is divided into two parts. The first one being political system, and the second part being the situation of Timor-Leste population. First up, we have the political system. East Timor is officially known as the Democratic Republic of East Timor. The capital name is Dili. East Timor political regime is divided into three independent institutions. Number one being the executive power, number two being the legislative power, and number three being the judicial power. 1. Executive power. This includes head of state and head of government. The head of state is the president, elected by the people for a 5-year long term, and has a wide range of power, as he may have the right to challenge the decision of the National Assembly, and can also dissolve the National Assembly and call for a new election. The head of government consists of a prime minister and a deputy prime minister. The leader of the party with the most votes, or the alliance party, is elected by the president to be the prime minister. 2. Legislative power. There is only one parliament in East Timor, and that is the National Assembly, which has several seats varying from 52 to 65 seats. Members of the National Assembly are elected by the people for a 5-year long term. During the election of June 30, 2007, the winning party had Fretland 21 seats, CNRT 18 seats, ASDT PSD 11 seats, PD 8 seats, PUN 3 seats, Kota PPT 2 seats, Undertim 2 seats, totaling about 65 seats. Judicial power. There is the Supreme Court of Justice in East Timor. The Constitution requires a judge to be nominated by the National Assembly, and in addition to be elected by the Supreme Council of the Magistracy. Until the Supreme Court is established, the Court of Appeal remains the highest court. Now, let's move on to the next part. Situation of East Timor-Leste population. General characteristic. East Timor had a total population of 947,000 in 2005 and 1,108,700 as of July 2008, with an average density of 37.888 kilometers squared. For the ethnic group, they are found to be of the Ossetian, or also known as the Malayo-Polynesian ethnic group, Papuan, and a few Chinese expats. Religious beliefs include Roman Catholic, which is about 98%, Muslim 1%, and Protestant, which is also about 1%. The official language are Tutam and Portuguese. In addition, there are Indonesian, English, and about 16 other dialects. The Tatum, Galole, Mambia, and Kamic language are spoken by a significant number of people. Population profile. The age group of children ranging from 0 to 14 years old, which is about 35.1% of the total population, of which 197,975 are boys and 191,716 are girls. And for the working age group ranging from 15 to 64 years old, it's about 6.16% of the total population, of which 347,573 were men and 334,908 were women. And for the elderly, which is 65 years old and older, accounted for 3.3% of the population, of which 17%, 578 were males and 1927 were females. Timor-Leste other democratic indicator. In 2008, East Timor had a national rate of 2.65%, a mortality rate of 0.6%, a natural birth rate of 0.2%, and also have a child mortality rate of 4.19%. And for the fertility rate for East Timor women is about 3.36 per person. Life expectancy at birth was 66.94 years, and for men it was 64.6 years, and for women it was 69.36 years. As for the urban population, it is about 7.7% as of 2004. And for the literacy rate of the population, it's about 58.6%.
In conclusion, Timor-Leste is a small but remarkable country with a unique geographic location, a dynamic climate influenced by seasonal monsoons, and a rich culture. Socially, Timor-Leste is a vibrant mix of traditions with a population of 947,000 people. The country maintains diplomatic relations with its neighbors, Indonesia to the west and Australia across the Timor Sea to the south, while also engaging with the broader international community through organizations like the United Nations and ASEAN. Furthermore, we would like to thank you all for your time and attention to our presentation. We would also like to apologize for any stuttering, misspellings, or pronunciations, or minor interruptions during this presentation. We hope you all understand and have a great day. Thank you.